The orange sun cast long shadows across the crystalline surface of Proxima Centauri B, painting the alien landscape in hues of amber and gold. Ian Stone, clad in his black stealth suit that left his arms bare and muscled, stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast valley of iridescent crystal formations. His rugged features and confident stance marked him unmistakably human amid the alien settlers of this newly colonized world. "You're going the wrong way again," came a melodic voice behind him, amused and scolding at once. "I swear, you humans have the worst sense of direction in the galaxy." Ian turned, smiling, to face Wera, a striking blue-skinned humanoid whose dark hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall of midnight. Her tight black outfit left little to the imagination, but he'd already learned her beauty was rivaled only by her lethal efficiency. "I thought you enjoyed watching me get lost," he teased. "That gives you more chances to show off." Wera rolled her eyes, a gesture she'd picked up from him. "The artifact signals coming from the eastern ridge. You're heading west, you brilliant specimen of humanity." "Maybe I just wanted to admire the view," he said, his grin widening as his eyes lingered a little too long. They'd been working together for 3 standard months now, tracking pre-civilization relics for the Galactic Heritage Foundation. The chemistry between them was undeniable, though they both pretended otherwise. As they crossed the glittering valley floor, Wera's handheld scanner began to beep faster. "We're close," she murmured, her tone shifting into pure excitement. "The energy reading, it's unlike anything I've ever seen." They rounded a monolith of black crystal and froze. Before them, half buried in a slab of light-absorbing stone, stood a sword. Its blade glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat, strange runes flickering along its edge. "Holy," Ian exhaled. "That's no museum piece." Wera consulted her scanner, frowning. "According to the database, this thing predates every recorded civilization on this planet. Every species that found it tried to remove it. Even quantum manipulators couldn't budge it." Ian stepped closer. The sword's glow seemed to respond to him, growing brighter. "Has anyone tried just pulling it out?" "Please tell me you're joking," Wera said, half laughing. "The greatest minds in the galaxy couldn't." Before she finished, Ian's hand closed around the hilt. A blinding flare burst from the blade, blue lightning dancing along its length. The ground trembled, air vibrating with raw power. "Ian," Wera gasped, all humor gone. "What did you do?" He looked at her, eyes reflecting the sword's glow. "I haven't done anything yet." He pulled. The sword slid free like it had been waiting for him. The pulse in the blade matched his heartbeat. Wera's scanner went wild, overwhelmed by impossible readings. "It's responding to you," she whispered, "as if it recognizes your biology." "That's impossible." A surge of light swallowed his vision. Images hit his mind, human starships bearing the same markings as the sword, warriors wielding energy blades that reshaped reality, a vast empire spanning galaxies. And then, silence. "Ian," Wera's voice dragged him back. She caught him as he staggered, her cool hands steadying him. "Your eyes were glowing like the sword." "I saw something," he said slowly. "Humans, ruling the stars." Before she could respond, the whine of approaching engines cut through the valley air. "Planetary security forces," Wera confirmed, glancing at her wrist display. "They must have detected the energy surge." They ran. Ian tried to sling the sword across his back, but it resisted every restraint until Wera stepped close, fingers deft on his armor straps closer than necessary. "There," she murmured. "Crystals to the north will hide our heat signatures." They slipped into the glowing labyrinth, shadows of patrol lights sweeping past them. The sword dimmed, almost helpful. "You're thinking too loud," Wera whispered against his ear. "Want to tell me what you saw? Would you believe me if I said humans once ruled the stars? After watching you pull that thing from stone." She smirked. "I'm starting to." Their moment was broken by the crunch of armored boots on crystal. A patrol passed within meters of them, where his voice was barely audible. "This isn't a simple artifact anymore. That sword changes everything we know about human history." Another flicker of vision struck him, ancient facilities hidden across the galaxy, sleeping, waiting for a key. He knew. Somehow, this was that key. "We need to get off-world," Ian said firmly, "before the Foundation gets its hands on this." "My ship's hidden in a ravine 2 kilometers east," Wera said with a grin. "Think you can keep up?" "Always." Hand in hand, they sprinted through the crystalline maze, the sword guiding them like instinct. Patrols seemed to miss them by inches, as if the weapon itself bent chance in their favor. They reached the ravine just as the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows stretching long and gold. Wera's ship was a sleek stealth vessel built for speed, perfect for a quick escape. As the engines hummed to life, Ian studied the sword. The runes along its edge were shifting, forming a pattern. "Maybe a story. Where to?" Wera asked from the pilot's chair. Ian's gaze unfocused, a new image flashing in his mind, a storm-shrouded world wrapped in lightning. "I know a place," he said softly, "but you're not going to like it." The jump to the storm world was rough. Lightning clawed at the ship's hull as they descended through a turbulent atmosphere, plasma storms painting the skies in veins of violet and gold. Wera wrestled the controls, her jaw tight with focus. Remind me again why we're flying into a death cloud, she shouted over the roar. Because the sword told me to, Ian said, gripping the seat beside her. That's not an answer. That's insanity. Maybe, he admitted, eyes fixed on the pulsing weapon now secured in the cabin, but it's our kind of insanity. A sudden blast of energy rocked the ship. Panels sparked, alarms blared, and for a moment they were weightless. Then, with a final shudder, they broke through the lower atmosphere. Below them stretched a wasteland of ash and storms, but in the center of it all stood something colossal, an ancient fortress of metal and crystal, half buried in lightning and time. Whatever's down there, Wera breathed. It's been waiting a long time. They landed inside the outer ruins, engines dying in a hiss of vapor. The air was charged, heavy with static. Every few seconds, the ground pulsed as if the planet itself was alive. Ian stepped out first, sword in hand. The blade's light cut through the haze like a beacon. Symbols on the surrounding walls began to glow in response. This place, Wera whispered, scanning the markings. It's not alien. Ian frowned. What do you mean? I mean it's human. Ancient human, thousands of years old. Before he could reply, the sword began to hum, its vibration resonating with the structure around them. Energy rippled through the floor, unlocking mechanisms that had been dormant for millennia. Massive stone panels shifted aside, revealing a staircase spiraling downward into darkness. I guess that's our invitation, Ian said. Wera gave a nervous laugh. You humans have a strange definition of hospitality. They descended carefully, guided by the sword's glow. The air grew warmer, charged with energy and faint whispers that danced on the edge of comprehension. Then a chamber, vast, circular, filled with monolithic machines that pulsed with faint blue light. In the center hovered a crystalline construct, a sphere of pure energy. Suspended above a dais, the readings are off the charts, Wera murmured. It's a power source, but it's alive. Ian stepped closer, the sword reacting violently, arcs of blue lightning shooting from its blade into the sphere. And then, a voice. Soft, ethereal, undeniably human. Guardian recognized. Genetic signature confirmed. Wera froze. Guardian. Before Ian could respond, the sphere flickered, and a holographic woman appeared, robed in white light. Her face was serene, timeless. You have awakened the heart of light, she said. It has waited for humanity's return. Ian's voice caught in his throat. Return. Humanity never left. The hologram's eyes softened. Oh, but you did. The stars forgot you. Empires rose on your ashes. But the hearts remained, waiting for the bloodline of the Guardians to awaken them. Wera stepped forward cautiously. What are the hearts for? To protect against the void, the hologram replied. The darkness that consumes worlds, that erases souls. It will return, and only those who remember unity can stand against it. The words sent chills down Ian's spine. And this sword, the Blade of Dawn, the hologram said, forged from the same light that once bound humanity to the stars. It chooses only those who carry both strength and love. Wera blinked. Love. The void cannot comprehend love, the hologram said simply. It is your greatest weapon. Before Ian could process that, the ground shook violently. An explosion ripped through the chamber, dust and energy scattering. Wera's scanner lit up. We've got company, Foundation strike teams. They must have tracked our descent. How the hell did they get here so fast? Ian demanded. They were following you, she said grimly. They want the sword. More explosions. The ancient structure trembled. The hologram's eyes flickered, her form destabilizing. You must protect the heart. If they destroy it, the void will rise unchecked. Ian looked at Wera. We're not letting that happen. They ran for the upper levels. Blast of fire echoing through the corridors. Wera moved with practiced precision, covering Ian as he deflected incoming shots with the sword, the blade absorbing energy and sending it back in arcs of blue light. Okay, she shouted between bursts. I take back everything I said about your sense of direction. I'll accept that as an apology. Ian grinned, slicing through another drone. They reached the outer courtyard just as enemy dropships descended, engines whining. Wera pulled a plasma grenade from her belt. Time for some fireworks. She hurled it at the landing platform. The explosion lit up the storm like a second sun. Ian grabbed her hand, pulling her into cover as debris rained down. You're insane, he said, laughing breathlessly. Takes one to know one. She shot back. Another vision struck him, the heart's light spreading across the galaxy, other relics awakening, waiting for them. We can't stay here, Ian said, urgency in his tone. There are more of these, maybe enough to fight whatever's coming. Then we find them, Wera said, eyes burning with determination. Together, the sword pulsed between them, light intertwining like threads of fate. For the first time, the storm above seemed to calm. The air trembled. The sword's light flared, rippling like liquid fire through the crystal valley. Ian's hand hovered just inches away. Don't, Wera whispered, her voice low, trembling not with fear, but awe. No one's ever. Ian grasped the hilt. A shockwave burst outward, blasting shards of crystal into the air. The ground cracked beneath them. Wera shielded her eyes, and when the light dimmed, she saw him still standing, his hand wrapped around the sword that every alien in the galaxy had failed to lift. The The sword was alive, its core pulsing with golden energy that matched the human's heartbeat. Symbols along the blade ignited one by one, translating into a single phrase visible only to him, chosen by will, not by blood. Ian stared in disbelief. It knows me. Where I stepped closer, scanning furiously. This is impossible. That sword rejects all known life forms. It's attuned to no biological signature we've catalogued. Maybe it's not about biology, Ian said quietly. Maybe it's about intent. A deep hum rolled through the valley. From the distance, ancient machines buried beneath the crystalline surface awakened, monoliths shifting, eyes of light opening after centuries of silence. Where his voice broke through the rising storm. Ian, you've triggered something. We need to leave. But he didn't move. His gaze locked on the horizon where colossal structures emerged from the ground, each bearing the same glowing sigil that pulsed on his sword. The sword vibrated in his grip, communicating, calling him forward. He turned to Wera, eyes glowing faintly with the same amber hue. Maybe this isn't just a weapon, he said. Maybe it's a message. The ground erupted again. A beam of light engulfed them both, bright enough to blind a god. And when the brilliance faded, the sword stood alone, buried once more in black stone. The valley was silent. Only the faint echo of Ian Stone's voice lingered in the wind. Some things choose us for a reason.